Happy Tuesday. Bear with me as I examine my book for signs of heartbeat in life. Reading again from your mouth to God's ear. I am very proud of myself because I'm keeping a commitment to myself after years of procrastination. And I thank God. Look to the hills. We're getting back to Leslie. This chapter is about her friends and their relationship and how it sustains all of them. Each. Hold on a second. I'll be reading from I Can't Go to Work Today because I have to babysit my house. I'll be reading from that book too. Each of these women were highly educated and attractive persons who traveled to different lands and were well spoken in their fields. Gladys's tenure at flight school, excuse me, and the first black woman pilot, it's happened for the last 4 times. This is an aside. Whenever I start reading my books, a phone call comes in. I'm happy when it's my granddaughter. Gladys's tenure at flight school and the first black woman pilot hired by Southeast Airlines was excessively cooled under all circumstances. And by the way, congratulations, granddaughter, for receiving certificates for reading and math. Good for you. She was a consulting engineer at Boeing. One was in aviation. Kika, a psychologist. Lofa was strategically unemployable and writing her second novel. She was a trader on the floor of the Board of Trade in downtown Chicago. They all had standing hair appointments and even manicures and pedicures bi-weekly on their itinerary. Yet these six-figure ladies had yet to get together without the subject of color in the African American community. Walk into any drugstore to be met by skin bleaching products and practices. Even the skin products like soap endorse cleanliness as being as of darker the skin lightening products as well as hair straightening methods were discussed as fervently as RHOA finale. It seemed that Les could reveal to her friends what she never talked to anyone else about. Her often thought refrain when with her family was, "Not again." She was routinely seen as an intruder in her parents' lives by strangers. Their peaches and creams, fair skins, complexion, and her brown hue raised questions among others, and sometimes not so subtle. Excuse me. Going to the Hancock building to celebrate the first election of President Obama, it was a fresh episode of where the staff refused to believe that her parents were really her parents. Although her veneer didn't crack in public, she sometimes felt as though she didn't want to deal with blackness, brownness, yellowness today. She dearly loved her parents, but in the explosive political climate, and scathing social media platforms with the scary lack of societal manners and etiquette. People, it seemed, said anything that they desired. This evening was no exception. Their hippie in the group was Kika, who was a staunch believer in free love and always felt born in the wrong decade. Flat out did not emphasize. Excuse me. Girl, you lying. No wonder your butt's so crazy. The others laughed as Kika tossed around her long, albeit store-bought, reddish mane of hair and adjusted the trademark aviator glasses she wore. It was the weekend before Christmas and Motown songs filtered through the air. Les looked around the table to her more stable friend for support and asked, "Is that not weird, is it?" Lofa was a constant reader of psychology books, magazines, and observer of behaviors of black and brown people in the context of this country and abroad. She was the recipient of a master's degree, and presently, though unemployed, and though not theoretically living in her parents' basement, came pretty close. Her friends quipped that obviously her degree wasn't in fashion or style, of which she carefreely admitted that she had none. Thank you very much. She serenely sipped from her favorite Starbucks holiday mug of red and green. Gonna have to change that. And avoided getting in the midst of the fray today with her. Girl, y'all both crazy. And keeping her eyes on the television screen. The basketball game was muted, but she watched each move between munching on cashews and candy corn. Kika laughed as she checked her phone and then smiled distractedly and with a yeah, whatever, and cited her blanket mantra. I just want to wait until I'm married to Mr. Right, the love of my life, ladies, not Mr. Right now, and went into the dining area to take her call. Excuse me. This is part of the reason I'm reading, so that I'll be accustomed to doing this when I'm doing um, author talks. The women were watching the show To Rome with Love. This group of women had been friends since grade school, and so during this hiatus of lounging around the fireplace in the sunken den of white basalt stone and the black marble oblong case from her latest trip to Marrakesh. So the question on the floor was whether any of them would consider living outside the country. Gladys had to admit that she thought most men were no good and given the chance would cheat. Kika, on the other hand, thought that all men were available, whether married or not. Alpha, it seemed, had given up entirely and didn't even try to make herself attractive. These girls formed a unified front to battle the vicissitudes of life. Their method strongly reflected the teaching of nonviolence and endorsed faith, hope, and love would win in the end. It was because of these weekly wine tastings and soul searchings that they relied on to make sense of the incomprehensible that was ever present in their collective world and history and the culture and country. Class and color was not a vicarious thing that happened to someone who knew someone. It happened daily to Les. Okay, now that was a short excerpt from your mouth to God's ear. Now, this is a combination of fiction and nonfiction. Okay, I will read from chapter 3. I can't come to work today because I have to babysit my house, by Sharon Davis. When I was teaching in the neighborhoods before 50 plus schools were closed, I had parents who wanted the best education for their children. Many of my most challenging students' parents trusted me to teach and discipline their charges. If you've ever heard a parent say, "Do what your teacher says," or "Don't let her have to call me," you remember and appreciate that. I miss that. I wonder how students feel who don't get to go back to their old schools and see their old teachers and tell their old teachers about the events in their lives. The 50 plus school closures, along with the project demolition, served to minimize, you know what I mean, a generation. Such sorrow is inestimable. Holidays, both summer and winter, were a big thing in our family. Since my father was born in the summer and my mother's birthday fell always on or around Thanksgiving, we always had reason to celebrate throughout the year. One of our apartments was on the third floor of a 3-story building, and the landlord lived in the building. We knew our neighbors, and if you didn't, they minded their business. Gospel and Motown were in my house and is in my veins. Music is my vitamin of choice and inspiration. It is what has motivated me to envision this book, but just right, whether successful. What did I tell you? There's the phone. Excuse me. Interesting. Interesting, God. Must be on the right track. Keep getting interrupted. Devil trying to hold me back. And I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Where was I? Talking about gospel and Motown music in my house. God will allow you to see your enemy's plans for you and wake you up to see another route. Zit happened this last Tuesday of the year. Someone once told me that a cat is not a good watchdog. I fervently disagree. They monitor and detect stealthily. I can tell when someone is near this house by looking at prints. Whether he goes to a window, perks his ears up, points his eyes in a certain direction without the barking of a dog. It lets me know what's going on and what I should be doing. I can't afford a TV. I mean, I can buy one, but it's almost against my principles when I see what images black children and women are on it. Besides, I have a computer. Also, I have to always listen. Living here is a lesson in vigilance. You have to listen. The last few years of my life and the world's existence have proven time is of the essence, too much to learn that's virtually at our fingertips. Things will never be the same. My level of trust in people's intelligence, for one thing. People either have too much time on their hands or are doing too much. I pray for the family of today. School, spirituality, nutrition, even going to the library is dangerous nowadays. I have to listen to my surroundings outside my property and always checking the windows for unknown interlopers and people that are imported into the neighborhood. Always somebody getting off the bus, walking down this block in the same directions. Also, just Sunday when I returned from church, a female person walking toward me from around the corner, cross the street so that she can meet me as I'm walking. Of course, I went the other route, got in the middle of the street and on the other side. I don't let males or females, dogs or cat or cars cross my path as I'm getting home. For one thing, look at all the hit and runs with the cars. Look at all the accidents that occur and nobody sees anything. That's because they're in collusion together. In that same female I saw come across the street yesterday evening in the dark of night, walking in front of my house to look because I had a light on, which I turned off quickly when I just happened. God let me see the same silhouette of a person walk down, turn to the left. So I assume those are the persons they have watching me, whereas they used to have their children watching me. And I would hear them say, "Ma, I think I see her," when I would get out of my car or my car would drive up. So no, I don't have a television because constant vigilance is required. This was written 5 years ago. I avoid my life of going to church on Sundays or any established routine I avoid due to the requirement of babysitting my house. The whole neighborhood knows when I leave out. I can open the door and then people down the street around the corner that cannot even see my entrance know to come down the street and drive past so they can look at me, which is another reason I wear different wigs and different outfits. The pandemic has given means for people to be mean. It seems that taking from others, especially elders, is the thought for the day. My mother lived here for years, and she suffered hell at the hands of these neighbors. Just another way of redlining marks one for life, and the chaos shortens life. Her being a Southern belle expected a cup of sugar over the fence exchange, not to have to say all that loud music, which was a synonym of hers, meaning vulgar, assaultive, demeaning, killing noise from hell, blasted near her bedroom window. I can't come to work today because I have to babysit my house. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word for the edification of our soul for Christ's sake. Amen.